This episode of Now This Is Lit is brought to you by Audible. Check the link in the description to get your first Star Wars audiobook free. Everyone loves free things. Click that link. Do it. This show is also brought to you by our patrons. If you want to support the show in a different way, with just $1 a month, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. You can get a sticker. You can get access to an exclusive show that we do every month that's wild and chaotic and fun and something you can only get by becoming a member of the Patreon. There'll be so many more perks very, very soon. But for now, do you want a sticker? Do you want a sticker that has a Now This Is Lit logo? Because it's fantastic and I love them. But I also want to give them away because there's just a stack of stickers on my desk. So if you want one, $1 a month. Patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. (2024)
It was a year.
As evidenced by what I'm about to tell you in regard to my reading resolution progress. Oh, I'm just going to say it. This year has been awful. The good things have happened. Particularly Star Wars book things have been really good this year. In terms of my own individual Star Wars reading, though. Oh, the struggle. Not for you, though. You did great.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But, oh, goodness. I hope all of you listening had a much better year than we did. But we're not going to say anything bad more about this year because it's not over yet. Anything can happen in the next however many days are left. I don't even know what day it is. Too many. But anyway, welcome to one of my favorite episodes to record every year, which is our Star Wars Reading Resolutions episode. This is the episode that we've been doing at the end of every year for a couple of years now, where we go over the resolutions that we made for this year, let you know how we did, talk about that a little bit, and then tell you what our resolutions for the next year are. And of course, we, as always, we invite you to share yours because that's, community is a fun part of the internet, or it can be anyway. I love recording these.
Me too.
We started doing it in 2023, I think. Toward the beginning, maybe?
Yeah, I don't remember what those resolutions were.
Oh, no, me
at
neither.
All.
Well, I just looked at them, actually, because I have it all on one note in my phone. But maybe at the end we can look back at what they were, because I do have them.
Yeah, I don't remember mine.
I have them written down. It'd be really fun. Anyway, so we are going to talk about, we're going to go over our resolutions for 2024. How we did. We kind of updated you, halfway through the year, but we'll see if any more progress was made. Oh, God. And then, we'll talk about what we're looking forward to doing in terms of Star Wars reading in 2025, or as I've been calling it, 2020 Thrive. Can't believe I said that on the internet. That was supposed to be just for me. It's YOLO. Anyway. I don't remember how we've done this in the past.
I don't either.
But I think what we can do is you can start, because should I introduce? Hello. Should I introduce you? Who are you? What are you doing here?
So I'm Davor. I host/co-host a couple different Star Wars podcasts. I'm also your producer, in addition to being a few other things.
Yes. Thank you for not saying that we're roommates again. I appreciate that. I mean, we are. If you're being technical, with some other benefits. Anyway.
Yes.
It's the end of the year. I've lost my mind. So you, my producer, can start with yours. So you can just go one by one, say what your resolutions for the year were, how they went, your feelings, and then I'll do the same thing, and then we'll go into our new ones. Unless there's anything else Star Wars or Star Wars book related you wanted to say before we started?
I don't think so.
No, me either. All right, cool. Let's go.
All right, so I had 4 resolutions for 2024. They were, I was going to read the Star Wars movie novelizations that I had not read going into this year, which ended up being every one of them except for The Rise of Skywalker and Revenge of the Sith. I was going to read the Legends Thrawn trilogy, the OG first 3 books. I was going...
You said that. I'm sorry. Continue.
I was going to reread the first 2 Alphabet Squadron books. And then I was going to read Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader. Those are my 4 resolutions. I am pleased to report that I completed all 4 resolutions.
Oh.
I think the last thing I read towards my resolutions, would that have been, I think it was the Return of the Jedi novelization?
Yeah, I think that was the last one you ended up.
Yeah, that was the last thing I had to do towards my resolutions, and I did that September, October, something like that.
Something like that. You had to actually physically read them because there aren't audiobooks.
Yeah, there are no audiobooks of the original trilogy novelizations.
So, Return of the Jedi is a really good one. If you want to know more about the man behind the novelization, I interviewed him. That was so cool. Anyway, that was so cool. He was so just like down to do it, and he has so many good stories. A few of which are part of that interview. Anyway, So, and you want to talk about your thoughts on any of those?
Let's see, thoughts on any of those. I had a great time with the novelizations.
Yeah, you did.
That was a lot of fun, just to get to see, one, what gets put in there that isn't in the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, the opportunities that the writers have to weave in, for example, deleted scenes that we know were filmed but ended up not in the movie for various reasons, or to write in things that, again, weren't in the movie or weren't even deleted scenes. To do kind of POV stuff. The Solo novelization is really interesting for that.
Yeah.
So I think that was really interesting to see. It was interesting to see the different, how each author kind of puts their own stamp on the, in terms of their own writing and the way that they tell their novelizations. I think that's a lot of fun. There is a lot of, even though, a novelization relative to, like your other Star Wars books is more hemmed in the sense of like there's an actual movie and there's an actual script.
Right.
So, you have these latitudes to put in your deleted scenes or to, take different perspectives that aren't there, but you're much more boxed in because there's beats you have to hit. There's things that have to happen. But even so, within that, there's still a lot of latitude for individual authors to bring in their own, style or to bring in a perspective that they might in particular be interested in. So that was a lot of fun to go through. That,
or like you get like the epilogue of a Solo novelization where Mur Lafferty was like, they just let me do that.
Yeah.
And like sometimes do that. I really want her to write more Star Wars. Anyway.
Yeah, it would be good to have her back.
I was a fan of her work before she did Star Wars, and I was like, it's so cool to have, someone who I knew liked Star Wars and was already an established author to come in and do that, because I used to listen to her podcast.
So there's that. Let's see what else.
I was going to ask, of the novelizations that you read this year, did you have a favorite?
Ooh, let's see. I got to think across all of them because there's a lot.
Or your top like 2 or 3.
Solo's a very good one.
It's
a very, very strong novelization. I think it's one of those ones that, in the vein of Revenge of the Sith, I think elevates the thing it is writing about, right? The thing that it is novelizing. Yeah. I think that one is a very good one. I think the Attack of the Clones one is really good also.
Yeah.
Dare I say an underrated one?
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that one is really strong. The original trilogy ones are fun just because of, like, the stuff they do.
Especially A New Hope, because there's no established Star Wars before this. So they're kind of just doing... It's so sci-fi, and there's way too many, like, earthly things in it. And it's like, it throws you off, but, like, in a fun way.
Yes.
You're like, there are ducks in Star Wars? What do you mean? You know? It's
Yeah, those are a lot. Yeah, because, like, Return of the Jedi, you know, Owen is Obi-Wan's brother.
Yeah.
Like, you get that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting stuff, especially, as you say, in A New Hope.
Yeah. Those are really fun. Do you want to talk about... You know what I'm going to ask. Do you want to talk about the Thrawn trilogy? You don't have to talk about it extensively.
Yeah.
But we have to acknowledge...
I do have to acknowledge that I did put myself through that. It was one of the reasons why 2024 is a trying year.
When Star Wars leans too heavily into sci-fi, you don't love that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, because I am a sci-fi person.
Yeah.
I enjoy the genre.
Mm-hmm.
But something about putting it in Star Wars, I don't know, doesn't work. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, that's why you're struggling with Legends.
Yeah.
You're really struggling with Legends. Not because, you know, they're not good or anything, you know, overall. Sir.
Debatable.
Sir.
Debatable.
Okay, I'm going to make you do this Legends reread podcast with me so that you're forced to endure. I wouldn't do that to you.
I most recently had to endure 000. So, like, the thing about, like, that they're not
okay,
good.
We're not even going to talk about Republic Commando because it's my favorite series and you just keep shitting on it. You're not even done. You haven't even gotten to the best book yet. You're never going to get there.
I don't know if I will. It's so much to endure.
It's not that bad.
There's so many characters I don't care about that I have to endure to get to that point.
You're breaking my heart.
I'm
Anakin.
sorry.
Anakin. You're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow. Yeah, so all we really need to say about that is Thrawn, you're not a Thrawn. You're not a Thrawn fan. Do they have a name? Thrawn stands? Do they have like a, you know, like Swifties?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if they did or not. I'm sure they do, and someone will tell me. You're not one of them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think he's perfectly fine for what he is, but then it's also like how much, like, it's like Tarkin, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do I find Tarkin to be an interesting character? Yes. Do I want 6 canon novels about Tarkin? No. Like, I don't think he's like that interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this, and we won't dwell on this too much because I have a lot else to talk about. If you look at the Thrawn trilogy, particularly Heir to the Empire, through the lens of this is pretty much why Star Wars books are today what they are, does that not does it make you like it more, but do you appreciate it a little bit more knowing that, you know, the foundations that these books have in terms of, like, we may not still have Star Wars books the way we do now if it weren't for
absolutely
Zahn coming in.
Yeah, no, they are essential in so many ways to Star Wars as we know it, in terms of, like you said, being the springboard for Star Wars publishing as we know it, the expanded universe as we know it, like the notion of Star Wars existing beyond the movies. You know, you, like, even setting aside books, like, do you get things like the Clone Wars TV show or Mandalorian? Again, if these non-movie things either didn't happen or didn't work.
Right.
I think those books, like that book / those books, like if you take the trilogy, but really particularly Heir to the Empire, I think were really essential in terms of expanding Star Wars beyond the big screen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, obviously establishing Thrawn as one of these, like, seminal Star Wars characters for him to have evolved out of a book, you know, is also quite important.
Yeah. Well, look at the other thing about Thrawn is you weren't there. You know, you were alive, but you weren't there to experience the Thrawn trilogy as it was happening. Like, the nostalgia for you is not there.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, I have that same feeling. You know, I was too young.
Yeah. I mean, that element of what you're saying essentially describes a lot of my Legends experience. Is I did not have the, like, I don't have the experience of, like, oh, there's no other Star Wars but these books.
Yeah.
And so I'm diving headfirst into these books, and these books are my Star Wars while there's no prequels, or while I'm waiting 2 years for Attack of the Clones or whatever. Right. I don't have that.
I think that's why I have a lot of nostalgia for the Force Unleashed books, because I was like I was following the release of the games and stuff, and I think, like, no matter what you think of those, for me, I think that's how I feel about those. A lot of people feel that way about the Thrawn trilogy. There's nothing wrong with the Thrawn trilogy. It just is not for you.
Yeah,
you know, Thrawn just in general is not for you, and that's fine. What were your other?
I had Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah. What'd you think of that?
I really enjoy that. Now, granted, because I do most of my book consumption on audiobook, I listen to this one on audiobook, and it is an abridged audiobook.
I don't think you missed much.
So, yeah. So I got whatever % of the book is what I listened to. But I really enjoyed it. It's a really good book. It's a great sort of, you know, Vader a POV story, kind of seeing him in the immediate aftermath of Revenge of the Sith. And I also enjoyed the kind of Jedi post Order 66 storyline. I think that one is really good too. Yeah, so it's a really good book. And also I'm just, like, predisposed to, I enjoy James Luceno's books, so it's like I'm already on board with that.
Yeah,
so,
and plus all the Vaders behind you.
Yes, plus Vader.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a really good one. I'm excited because it is going to be joining the Essential Legends collection in 2025.
Oh.
I think it is in the next whatever wave, February, whatever that is.
I should have known that, and of course I did.
Yeah, because I think it's that one. Did they already do Force Unleashed 2?
I don't.
Because I think Force Unleashed 2 is also part of that, and then there's usually a third. I don't recall what the third is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got to get Labyrinth of Evil in there. What are we doing, people?
Yeah. You did a really good job, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to hearing what your stuff for 2025 is. I forgot what year.
Yeah. We've already alluded to some 2025 things that will reappear. So.
Oh, cool.
There you go. That's a little bit of a tease right there.
We like that. What's happening? Okay, I got to get to mine. Hold on. Where'd they go? Yeah, here they are. Oh, and here are your old ones. You want me to read you your original ones?
Oh, from 23?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Read more Legends. The Aftermath trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
This one's in all caps. More comics. Catch up on High Republic Phase 2.
Okay. Something that you see in those resolutions that I think I don't think I explicitly consciously did it, but I have done it since then, and I think it is valuable for these resolutions, is the precision. Because you see those two where it's like, read more Legends, more comics, right? It's very generic. You don't have sort of a target.
Right.
Versus you're like, read the Thrawn trilogy. You know, that's that's very specific. Or like, read this particular comic series or what have you.
Yeah, it's a SMART goal.
Yeah. Oh, God, no, don't. Oh, God. Oh, I'm having performance review flashbacks. No, they do that in our annual reviews. They have us do the SMART goals. No.
Specific.
No.
Measurable. Attainable?
I think so. What's the realistic?
Realistic.
And then
timely or time sensitive or time.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's like it's got a time frame.
Yeah.
I made you so mad. I'm sorry.
Having post-traumatic stress here from I'm in human resources now. God, yeah, it's literally like on the sheet that you do. It's like put the SMART goal, and like they use that thing.
That's what I mean. That's what when I don't teach writing, but when I teach writing, quote unquote, on my blog, I use those. I'm sorry. Anyway,
but that's a really good thing to think about. Like, if you're doing, whether it's a reading resolution or any kind of resolution, is like, don't be like, exercise more. Say like, I'm going to do it at least 2 times a week, something like that. Set that goal.
Is this now like a motivational podcast?
Yeah, there you go.
I would be really good at that.
You would.
Yeah. Okay, we got to stop. We got to stop doing this. All right. Let's go over my resolutions for the year. Catch up on High Republic comics. So I think what I meant was, did I mean everything, or did I mean like phase 3?
Ooh, that's a good question. We'd have to listen back to the episode. I think that you probably meant like everything.
I probably meant everything.
Knowing you probably meant everything.
Yeah. Finish the new Jedi Order series. Keep up with, so this kind of gives me a hint as to what the first one means. Keep up with new comics. So like every new Star Wars comic that came out that wasn't like already part of a series, I wanted to make sure that I read. And then finish the Afra series from 2022 because it ended in January. So I wanted to finish that. I completed 0 of my resolutions for the year. Let's just get down to business here.
Yeah, you did the A, R, and T like really fell off, in the SMART goals. So,
okay, let me. I did read comics, for the record. I did read a lot of new comics. I read about half of the Afra series. Love it. I only stopped because I got a new job and I had to focus on that instead of getting distracted by comics. It's a legitimate excuse, I think. It's a very important thing that needed to happen. New Jedi Order. Let's talk about that. I have 2 books left.
You're so close.
I was really, really, really close. Here's the reason I didn't do it at the end, because I could have blown through those last 2. The last book, I would need to place a hold on. The hold is 2 weeks, and I don't have any holds left because I used them all for other books.
Your perennial problem.
So I could have read the last one that I have on loan right now and bought the last one. But it would have been, here's why I didn't finish it. It would have been a time crunch. I would have rushed through them, and I might not have enjoyed them as much because the trilogy of 3 books before the last 2 is a little rough. A lot of people say that. Here's what I'll say about the New Jedi Order. I enjoy it. I think it's a really good story, and I think like it's really good Star Wars. It's really good character work. It's really good writing. It is not meant to be consumed all 19 books in a very short amount of time. It's meant to be read as a series. So like maybe a book or 2 come out a year. I don't know exactly what the release dates for all these were. It must have been more than 1 a year. I think probably. I was reading like back to back to back for a while. It just becomes a lot. A lot of things happen in these books. And it's also very sci-fi. So it's very heavy. It's very action. The Force stuff gets kind of weird in a good way, but it's like sometimes you need to take a break. And it maybe took a little too long of a break in the middle of the year. I got to about book like 11 or 12 and then took a break and then realized I had many more books to go. So I got close. I got really close, and I'm actually really proud of how far I got. Thank you to the New York Public Library for having most of the books. There's a couple I had to purchase because they did not have them. Man, if there were audiobooks for the series, I would have gotten it. I would have gotten through it. But and in terms of like keeping up with new comics and High Republic comics, I did pretty good. I kept up with a lot of the new High Republic stuff that came out, like in Phase 3. I'm almost done with... I'm either almost done with, or I did end up finishing the mainline High Republic comic for Phase 3. And I almost was done with... oh my God, what's the other series called?
High Republic Adventures?
Yes, thank you. Almost finished that. So I kept up with those. And then I did like the Kelnaka comic, and I think there were a couple other miniseries that I almost finished. I did a really good job, all things considered. And I really enjoyed keeping up with those. But in terms of like keeping up with all the new comics that came out in 2024, I hit a lot of them, but I also missed a lot of them. Comics are hard for me to keep up with. I really struggled this year. I really struggled this year with life in general. This year was terrible. It was terrible. And like, I'm glad that I had Star Wars reading goals to keep me grounded and keep me reading. But also I had to keep up with new releases for the show and, you know, interviews and things like that. So like that had to take priority over the other stuff. Which, I mean, you're not mad about because you may have listened to a lot of, if not all of those. And, you know, I did the best that I could.
Yeah.
I did the best that I could. And I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get even one. But I did make progress. It's not like I didn't try at all.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, like, sometimes, you know, you've got two complete opposite ends of the spectrum here. Sometimes you do all your goals. And sometimes you don't. Yeah, so I mean, listen. I survived 2024.
Yes.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. But I have some really good, maybe a little bit more attainable resolutions for 2025, and we'll talk about those. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm a little sad, but like I also was pretty ambitious, not knowing, to be fair, what this year was going to be like. I thought I would have, you know, more of myself to dedicate to Star Wars reading, and I did not. It's okay. So let's look ahead to 2023. And why don't you tell me what you're going to read this year?
All right. So I once again have my 4 resolutions. I thought about, because for each year really that we've done these resolutions, I've had some kind of, there have been some that have sat in particular buckets, whether it's like Legends related or like, you know, revisiting something or whatever. And I sort of thought within those categories. And then, as I was telling you yesterday, I have sort of a mix of 2 that are relatively light lifts and then 2 that are a little bit more ambitious.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I guess I sort of alternate between the 2. Yeah. So I'll start with one of my light lifts. So one of my resolutions for 2025, the first of mine, is to reread Light of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
So we've talked about this in a couple different contexts.
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned it in the show in other contexts, which is that when Light of the Jedi first came out, I read it when it came out, but also there was a lot going on in my life at that particular moment.
You were moving, right?
I was moving, yeah. It was around the time that I bought this house.
Yeah.
And so we were dealing with all the, like, the closing stuff and, yeah, like, all that was going on.
Yeah.
And so I read it, but also, again, there was a lot happening.
Yeah.
So I don't think I fully got to appreciate the book at the time. And then especially with, you know, the added context of all the High Republic that's come since then. Yeah. It's a book I want to revisit. And I specifically intend to do that post trials. So I want the entirety of High Republic to be finished. Ooh. And then I want to go back to the beginning. And read that with the perspective of knowing the entire story.
I like that.
So yeah, that's my first resolution, is to reread Light of the Jedi.
That's really good. I reread it this past year. And it's, yeah, even with the context that we have at the moment with High Republic, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see the things that I will notice for the first time.
Yeah.
By virtue of having greater context.
Right. Oh, it's good. It's a good one.
So yeah. So that's my first one, is to reread Light of the Jedi. Second one. One of my bigger swing resolutions, and it's a Legends one related too.
Ooh.
I'm going to read the X-Wing books.
We have the audiobooks.
We do.
For a lot of those.
For a lot of those. I was doing some research. I think there's audiobooks for all except one of them. It might be the last one.
Okay. Well, because like with the Essential Legends, they're up to, I don't remember which book. They're pretty far in.
Yeah. So. I think because there are audiobooks that predate the Essential Legends collection.
Oh, okay.
And again, I think they exist for all of them except maybe the last book.
That's pretty ambitious.
It is ambitious. I was thinking on, the scale of like the novelizations. Like, what's a resolution I could do that's like multi-book? Mm-hmm. And also, would sort of scratch sort of the Legends aspect of it. And so I was like, let's do the X-Wing books.
I think you're gonna like them.
Yeah, I'm eager to get into them, especially because, like, for example, I really enjoyed the Alphabet Squadron books, and a lot of people draw the parallel of like Alphabet Squadron being sort of like the canon. Obviously, it's fewer books, but it's the sort of the canon analog to the X-Wing. Books.
I think you're really going to enjoy them. I enjoy them, and I'm not huge on like pilot stories, but like it's really good. It's really good.
Yes, so I'm going to embark upon the 10.
Maybe 10. It's hard because like they're like series within series.
Yeah.
There's like 4 and then because it's Rogue Squadron and then Wraith Squadron. Is that what we're up to now in the Essential Legends? Because I think so. I'm reading them as they're coming out in
the
Essential Legends.
The most recent one is the one with the horse on it. I think.
That doesn't help me.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, by the time you get to that, they might have more of them out. I don't know. I would have to count to see what number we're at. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to embark on that one.
I'm excited for you. I can't wait to talk about them with you.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic. I have to keep my expectations measured because I don't know anymore what I'm gonna get.
Also, like if you just do one a month, do one, give yourself a break. Do another one. You don't have to do them, but maybe like doing them back to back to back is not the best idea for you. Like do one and then like do other things and then.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the X-Wing books.
Oh, that's exciting.
Resolution number 3 is I am going to complete / reread the From a Certain Point of View Empire Strikes Back. So I read. So of the From a Certain Point of View books, FACPOV, I'm just going to call them that because it's a mouthful to say the government name. Of the FACPOV books, I read the A New Hope one around the time that it came out-ish. And then I also listened to the Return of the Jedi one again around the time that it came out. Mm-hmm. As for Empire Strikes Back, I started reading it and read it in kind of, story order. And then at some point, like, bounced around, read kind of one or two from, like, picking and choosing based on ones that, were of interest to me that's on. And then just never finished the rest of it. Because I think I started reading, like, another Star Wars book or whatever. So I never actually got to finishing the FACPOV book beginning to end. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, that would be a good resolution of a thing to finally check off and to say that I've read all of them in their entirety. Yeah. So I will do that. And that's why I said complete / reread because I'll just start from the beginning.
It would be really fun for you to do. It would be a little bit more time consuming, but that like when that came out, they also released interviews with every author.
Oh yeah, the little podcast thing.
So you should when you read a story, you should listen to the little interview. They're really short. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. Because then you read it and then you get a little context. I think that'd be fun. If I were you, I would do that. But that's also more work for you. But you're gonna listen to it, I'm assuming. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it.
So who knows?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so I'm eager to kind of get back into it and. Listen to the stories that I didn't read the first time and see how it stacks up.
Oh, there's some really good stories in there.
Yeah.
They're really good ones.
All right, my fourth and final 2025 resolution. So, we were talking about, when we were talking about the 2024 resolutions, we were talking about Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, and we we're talking about my love of Darth Vader as evidenced by what we are surrounded by in the room that we are recording. Despite that, however, at a certain point, I fell woefully behind on the Darth Vader comics and never caught up. So my resolution, for my fourth and final resolution, is to finish reading all of the outstanding Darth Vader comics.
Oh boy,
that I have not read. That might be a heavier lift than the X-Wing books.
That's a lot. I mean, you're gonna love them.
No,
but
because I did not finish Dark Lord of the Sith, so I fell behind back in like the 2017.
Oh
run.
No.
Yeah,
because
I read the Charles Soule run, the 2015 run.
Yeah.
I started Dark Lord of the Sith. And then never finished because the way I was doing it back at the time, because that was pre when I was doing digital comics. And so I was waiting for not the omnibus, but the
hardcover, the
not even the hardcover.
The trade paperback?
Sure. I don't know the terminology, but it's when they do the volumes and it collects like, anywhere from 5 to 10 issues. They do those. And I got through, I think, up to what was the last volume. Okay. And then the last volume hadn't come out yet. And then I just never got it. And then, subsequent runs happened and I just never.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to restart Dark Lord of the Sith.
Oh.
I'm going to have to restart the 2017 run, get through it, because I don't remember, where I left off with that. So I have to start from scratch. And then pick up the 2020 run and pray to gods that I don't believe in that I can, keep up with it as we get into Aphra and War of the Bounty Hunters and Dark Droids and all that stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen when I start hitting the kind of crossover event stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. But I do, again, because, he is my favorite Star Wars character. I would be remiss if I did not actually read the comics. I know, particularly as you get into sort of the latter end of the 2020 run, people have a lot more complaints and they say that the quality falls off.
No.
So, we'll see what happens when we get to that point. And again,
right.
I do want to, get through them. It might be a little challenging if I'm just kind of dipping into these other larger stories, But again, it's something that I want to do. I want to be able to say that I've read them and that I've gotten the the canon Vader story as it exists. So yeah, I'm going to do it finally.
Is there another Vader comic coming out or no?
No, you're probably thinking of Legacy of Vader, which is actually about Kylo Ren.
They just had to get Vader in there.
They have to get that SEO, they have to get the Vader SEO in there.
Oh,
but yeah,
boy.
they are doing a Legacy of Vader run, but it's actually about Kylo Ren in between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
I mean, I am looking forward to that.
Which I'm really excited about because I want the Kylo Ren. One of the things I've wanted is the Kylo Ren story in between those that year.
Right.
1 year. Yes.
Right.
Because I think there's a lot of interesting stories there to do with him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Those are some pretty good resolutions.
Thank you. Yeah, I have, again, like I said, a mix of, pretty easy ones to check off and then taking some bigger swings.
Love that. All right. So for mine, the main theme of these is easier.
Getting that art back in there.
Getting that art back in there.
Put the art in smart,
What?
That's the title of this episode.
What I am I want to aim low. And if I do more things than this, that's great. But I'm really gonna just try to not push myself too hard because again, I also have to keep up with new releases and do all of our bonus shows and many other things not related to Star Wars or my podcast. So, that being said, I'm going to start. So you kind of did like an easy and a hard and you alternated. I'm going to start with my easiest and go to my quote unquote hardest. So the first thing I'm going to do is finish my Star Wars TBR. So there are in particular a couple books like just sitting on my desk that are Star Wars that I like picked up from like I think a flea market. We got a couple. I don't remember where they came from, but they're kind of just sitting there, and I like to read them. That's why they're sitting on my desk, because that's where I keep the books I haven't read. I like to read those because like I haven't yet, and if I have them, they don't go on my shelf until I read them. So I'm like, they need to go on my shelf. So I'm going to read those. There aren't many, and of course, like there are some Essential Legends books that I'm sure will come out that I haven't read that I will add to that and have to read. So that's the first one. Not too ambitious because they're not long. Like one of them is the last High Republic manga that came out.
Oh,
like I haven't.
Edge of just volume 3.
Yeah,
it doesn't have it.
So, like that kind of stuff is just there that I haven't read yet, and I'd like to. I just haven't gotten to it. So there's that. So that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, and it's a good one too.
Yeah, and a good one because like I want to keep up with stuff. My second one, I'm going to finish the New Jedi Order trilogy. I wish it was a trilogy. The New Jedi Order series. Like I said, there are 2 books left. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to get to them when I get to them because I really want to enjoy the ending. And I really, really put myself through it trying to read all of them. Not all of them. I read some of them before this year. My goal was to finish. I didn't quite get there, but I'm going to. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah,
so like
it's 19 books?
Yeah, 19 books. And there are technically like a couple like novellas, I think, in there, or short stories or something. I don't know if I'm going to read those, but I guess I could eventually. But being able to finish that, even though there are only 2 books left, I will feel so accomplished. And I will finally, like get it. I've hit a lot of the big things that people talk about from this series. I've heard that the last book and the ending is very, very good. So I'm looking forward to that as soon as whoever's reading it right now is done reading it and I can finally read it. So there's that. Somewhat related to that, I've been told that the Dark Nest trilogy is what I should read after New Jedi Order. I don't know if that's what comes next in the timeline or if that's like the next part of this particular story. I've been told that that's what I should do next. So I'm going to do that. It's only 3 books. I don't know if the library has them. I haven't checked, but I'm assuming they probably do because that library has a lot of Star Wars. So one way or another, I'm going to read those. And that's only 3 as opposed to 19. And then, my last one, and then I actually have a bonus one.
Oh, okay.
Just in case you get done with all of these. That's also not hard. I'm going to reread / finish reading the Legacy of the Force series, which is fewer books than New Jedi Order. And I've already read 2 of them. So I will reread those because it's been years at this point. I remember really, really liking, I think the first 2 I read. I really, really enjoyed them. Those are actually like very early on in my like Star Wars reading, like Legends, way back when I was like, I think before high school even. Really, really enjoyed them, right? I might not have the timing right for that because these came out in the later 2000s. Whatever. So the whole series may not have been out when I started reading them. But I liked them. I've wanted to finish reading this series for a long time. I know for a fact that the used bookstore that we like to go to has more of them, I think, and I just haven't picked them up because I haven't been reading them. Or they did have more of them at one point. But one way or another, I'm going to read those too. And I'm really looking forward to that because I know this is a really good series based on what I've read so far. That's also way more attainable.
I think is that 9?
It's either 6 or 9. I can't remember.
9. Okay.
Less than New Jedi Order. That's all that matters. I think there may be audiobooks for these, but they are abridged. So I'm going to have to read them, I think, if I want the whole experience. But that's fine. And then my bonus one, and this actually I thought of while you were talking about rereading Light of the Jedi, is for a long time I've wanted to re-listen to Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yes.
And I think as a bonus, if I get to it, I get to it. If I don't, I don't. I'd like to re-listen to that after the High Republic is over. So kind of like with you. So that is my bonus. I have heard that there's a lot of I don't like using this term this way, but we'll use it for this context. There's a lot of High Republic Easter eggs in there that no one knew were High Republic related because the High Republic didn't exist, to our knowledge anyway. So, and it's Kevin Scott. And it's really good. I really liked it the first time, whether I got all those references or not. So that's what I'm gonna do. Way easier. I'm gonna give myself a break this year because I need it after 2024 and accomplishing nothing. For the record, I also do want to keep up with comics, read more comics, finish the Afra series. I want to do all those things that I didn't finish. That's part of the reason why I kept my resolution simple is because there's other things I want to do still.
Right. That makes sense.
But again, that's in addition to keeping up with all the new releases, all the new comics, finishing High Republic, all that. It's going to be a really, really good year for Star Wars publishing in 2025. I'm excited.
Me too.
It's going to be a good year for Star Wars reading in general. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we do this year. I think we can both.
I think so.
I think we can both do it.
I think so.
Yeah, I learned a lot from 2024 in terms of reading resolutions. I learned not to push myself too hard in too many directions. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I've been looking forward to telling you what mine are. And I've been looking forward to hearing yours because you've been telling me like, oh, I came up with another one. And I'm like, don't tell me yet. Oh, all right. Again, we want to hear yours. We're on, now this lives on Blue Sky. You can leave comments on Spotify, Instagram. I don't care where. Just let us know what your reading resolutions for 2025 are, and we'll all hold each other accountable. Let's do it.
Yes.
2020 thrive.
2020 thrive, baby.
Happy reading, everyone.
Stay cool, people.
Now This Is Lit is part of the Faraway Fandom Network. It is produced by Davor and written, hosted, and edited by me. Jose Jimenez designed our podcast art. You can keep up with the show on Substack at Now This Is Lit, and find the show wherever you get your podcasts. There are so many ways you can support the show, and all of those ways are linked in the show description. The newest way is to become a member of our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get access to an exclusive show and a sticker. And if we get 500 people to support the Patreon per month, I can hire an editor. That would be great for me, and maybe for you too. So if you'd like to support the show with just $1 a month, you can do it that way. Or you can just keep listening and sharing the episodes. That is also helpful, and I appreciate it. For more book reviews and Star Wars Book Celebration, follow Star Wars Book Reviews on Instagram and TikTok.